Right now, I actually have a Durango SRT right behind me, which means that this guy wasn't doing what I was doing, and he wasn't listening to Tim Kuniskis right now as he's announcing the fact that they have new products. Because I'm listening to it right now, but I stopped to record this guy with his Durango SRT 392. Unfortunately, now he has to take it back because now the Hellcat Durango's out. And Tim Kuniskis just said that the Durango Hellcat is going to be limited edition. So that means that if you don't buy it now, that means that you can't get it anymore, which means that you absolutely have no choice but to get it like right now. In fact, let me ask this guy, because I want to know what he thinks about that. I want to know what he thinks about this. I have to ask him. Love your truck. Here's a question. I was listening to the announcement right now. Did you know that they have the Hellcat Durango, but you're only going to be allowed to buy it just this next year, and that's it?
Yeah.
What do you think?
You can shoot this up to get to that. It's the same engine.
I love that color.
Thank you.
All right. You see, I just had to do that. You know, normally I would have never talked to this guy, but I just had to do that. I just had to ask him because he has such a beautiful, beautiful color and beautiful, beautiful, beautiful truck, you know? So here it is, the Durango SRT Hellcat for 2021 is scheduled to have a starting price of $81,000, or to be more specific, $80,995, which I just round up by $5 to get $81,000. That is an $18,000 premium over the SRT Durango, which is pretty much what I expected. I expected it to be about $20,000 more, like when you compare the Jeep SRT to the Trackhawk. But yes, it's supposed to be an $18,000 premium to the SRT model, which starts at about $62,995. Now, fully loaded, they're expecting the Durango SRT Hellcat to be $95,000. Now, the problem that I see is, and forget the $6,000 that you're going to pay in taxes, that's going to push the price through $100,000. But the real problem is that this is going to be a limited edition purchase that you can only buy for 2021, according to Dodge. And then on top of that, you're more than likely going to get gouged by the dealers. They have unscrupulous practices. What they do is they either buy the car themselves as soon as it gets off the truck. Usually it's the manager who has that kind of money, and he buys the car himself, and then he increases the price. And what they'll do is they put a sticker that says market adjusted price, and then they raise it up $10, $20, or possibly even $30,000. And in the case of the Dodge Demon, it could be as high as $150,000. But ultimately, the only thing that's going to keep this thing affordable, especially considering it's a limited edition, is if the outbreak from coronavirus causes nobody to go out and buy it initially and it starts to sit on lots. That's exactly what happened with the Trackhawk, because the Trackhawk didn't look special, and I guess people saw the price tag and they say, you know what, there's no point in me buying this because there's nothing special about it. Meanwhile, I can actually say that the Durango actually does look different enough where, unlike this guy in the video says, you can't just add more power to it and have something that's a better product, simply because they've changed just about everything from the way it looks to the computer systems to the interior. Like, for instance, the new Durango SRT Hellcat's going to have an HVAC system that is physical knobs, which I really like, because now when somebody gets in the car, they don't have to go through the touch screen for everything. But it won't be as simple as you just adding a couple of mods. It would cost you so much money to try to modify a Durango SRT Hellcat, which you can probably buy used now for less than $60,000. It wouldn't even be worth it. So I'm actually pretty happy to see the fact that the Durango SRT Hellcat is everything I expected it to be. It looks different. It's going to drive different. It's going to be fast. It's going to have the same parts from the Trackhawk parts bin. It's going to cost you pretty much exactly to own what a Trackhawk cost you to own if you were foolish enough to go out and buy one new. I was very, very, very disappointed with SRT in recent years. FCA, because it's Italian-owned, they've been trying to force this Alfa Romeo garbage on us that nobody wants. It's funny, I pass by the Alfa Romeo dealership here in Westbury all the time. And while they are nice, cute little cars, I use the word cute because they're boring. And the thing about it is now your choices are widening so much that there's so many other possible things that you could get instead of an Alfa Romeo. The Tesla Model Y is going to outsell the Stelvio and the Stelvia Quadrifoglio probably by about 20-1. These Alfa Romeos, they forced this stuff on us, and that's not what we wanted. What we wanted was cars that SRT did not create, and they left a huge gap in the vehicle list. For instance, if you were to look at Chrysler right now, it breaks my heart because, I've had 3 Chrysler 300s of different engine sizes. I had the 2006, the 26 SRT, and then I had the SRT 6.4 300. And these morons, these Italians that ruined us with these stupid Alfa Romeo products, could have given us a 300 Hellcat using the same exact parts. It wouldn't have cost them any more. They already paid off the platform. We would have had a 300 Hellcat using the same parts from the Dodge parts bin. It would have been nothing more than a 2012 Chrysler 300 upgraded with the goddamn 6.2-liter supercharged engine, the Hellcat hood, and the rest of the car would have been a freaking 300 SRT, and it would have just been that way. And all they had to do was change the goddamn engine and put the Hellcat icons on the side of the car. And they didn't do that. And they ruined everything. But they want to sell us these stupid smart cars and these stupid small, pathetic Alfa Romeo Giulias and Quadrifoglios and all this nonsense. That's not what we asked for. That is not what we wanted. That is not what we expected. Now you go to the Chrysler website, they got 2 cars. They got just 2 cars. They went from 4 or 5 cars down to 2. They had the Chrysler 200. They had the 300. They had the Pacifica. They had the, what was it? Well, they used to have the Crossfire, but they got rid of SRT6 a long time ago. But anyway, bottom line is, here you could have had 4 cars total. The Challenger, the Charger, the 300, and the Magnum. And you ruined everything. So, at this point now, if you want a really fast car that's a 4-door that looks different than the Dodge Charger, your pretty much only option is to end up going either into an electric car or to spend way more money and buy a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW. So, I regret every day trading my 300 SRT. I really do, because that car had everything. I had heated and cooled seats. I had heated and cooled cup holders. I had a panoramic roof. Now, granted, I could go out there and find a 2012 or 2014, but then these bastards didn't even bring the car back for 2015, 2016, 2017. So now you're stuck having to go back to try to find an old model that has light use on it. So they ruined Chrysler. That's what they did. They pushed this Alfa Romeo garbage on us, which I would rather have a Model Y. And then, when they could have had 4 cars, they didn't give us a Dodge Magnum. Why is that important? Well, first of all, I don't argue with anybody. If you give me a stupid comment, I'm not arguing with you. The bottom line is, the Dodge Magnum was never given a chance to succeed. When the bankruptcy happened, Chrysler discontinued the Magnum because some moron, because it never fails, there's always some moron corporate raider who's in a company trying to steal money for themselves. This guy said, okay, yeah, we'll just cut the Dodge Magnum. And they cut the Dodge Magnum, right? Now, I want you to think, this is why I don't pay any attention to these stupid professional auto reviewers, because all of these guys are trash. Most of them don't have cool cars. They're driving around in garbage Volkswagens or stupid Toyota Camrys, like Scotty Kilmer, and trying to convince us that an Accord is the best thing in the world. Well, I'd rather die than ride around in an Accord or a Camry. I'd rather die. But bottom line is, let me not get off track. The Dodge Magnum was never given the new Uconnect 8.4. It was never given the V6 Pentastar engine. It was never given the 8-speed automatic. It was never given a chance to succeed. If you look at even the latest model had the old interior from the Generation 1 SRT models, had the old interior, didn't have a good transmission. You'd buy it with a 2.7, a 3.5, and 6.1. The problem was it didn't have a good transmission. The 8.4 was a great transmit. The 8.4 U-Connect hooked to that torque flight transmission was fabulous. They didn't give it to us. They didn't give us the 300. It was all the same parts. They didn't give it to us. And now, no Dodge Magnum means that now your only option is to go into something that's taller and rides higher and has a higher center of gravity. So if you wanted, say, a bigger car because you have a family and you wanted more space so you could shop at Costco and BJ's, oh no, you have to buy a Jeep. You have no choice but to buy a Jeep. No choice. You have no choice. You can either buy a Jeep or you can buy a Durango. And then these stupid idiot car reviewers, they were trashing the Dodge Journey for years. I still get positive reviews on my Dodge Journey review because people say they love the car. Everybody who's bought one loves it. The reviews may have trashed it, but the Dodge Journey was a great car, especially when they upgraded it. And then how did they stab me in the heart and twist the knife deeper? What did they do? They released the Jeep Trackhawk, what looks exactly like a V6 a regular Jeep Limited. Let me tell you something. When I have a Jeep SRT, whenever I see somebody who makes the mistake of riding on my roads and they've got a silver Jeep, what I do is I always drive real slow past them. I don't even speed past them. I drive right up next to them and I drive real slow. You know why? Because while I'm driving nice and slow, because you know me, I don't modify. I don't put these stupid, ugly rims. I don't put any silly spoilers. I don't put any silly air dams on it. I don't change the color of my brakes trying to make you think it's something else. I don't change my rims. I keep my car as OEM as possible. And when I see one of these pathetic little Jeep Limiteds with these V6 engines, I drive up to them real slow. And then I get right in there. If there's a driver in the car and only a driver, I drive real slow so that he can look at my wheels and look at my brake calipers. I don't have those orange and red, those ugly plastic calipers that you add onto your car. Nope. I only have the Brembo original equipment. And I want him to see. It's like, hey, buddy, if you want one of these SRT products, you're going to have to pay for it. No, you can't add power to your Jeep V6. You can't add power to your 5.7. You can't even replace the engine because you'd still have to spend $10,000 on the brakes. No, I keep it as plain as possible. And if there's just a driver, I drive next to the driver's side so he can see it. And if there's a passenger, oh yeah, I drive next to the passenger side so they can see it. No, you cannot upgrade it. It needs to come from the dealer and it needs to be fully done properly. So what they do, they give you a Jeep Trackhawk. Doesn't even have the Hellcat hood. No badges. They call it Trackhawk, which is stupid because birds don't drive around no damn track. They fly. This is not an airplane you're selling. And it bothers me so much that the misdirection in the company. Now, granted, my stock is doing okay. It's up to like, what, $10 or $11. But I'm really disappointed that we didn't get the products that we're looking for. At this point, Trackhawks can be purchased used. They lost $10,000 of their value because they literally sat on the lots because people just didn't see the point in buying something that cost that much and didn't look special. And basically, in my opinion, that car was an abject failure. And I call it a failure because it lost money sitting on the lots and not being able to sell. Meanwhile, Tesla is moving $150,000 P100D ludicrous Model X's while you're sitting on a lot rusting and having spiders build up in your intakes. And they're, building webs and stuff and trapping flies all over your wheel wells and everything. And now your undercarriage is rusted and you're sitting in a backyard rusting. And meanwhile, Tesla's moving their trucks as fast as they're making them because all these wealthy people say, hey, you know what? Ooh, man, I can get one of these things. I can race the hell out of these Lamborghinis and I can beat these nonsense. Yeah, it may not have any engine noise, but all I got to do is spend twice as much money and I can go out there and beat the hell out of them and they won't dare race me. Well, that's what they did. So basically, in my opinion, Trackhawk was a complete failure. You pass one, it looks like a regular Jeep. You might as well bought a V6 and painted your own calipers yellow. So all I'm saying is this. The Durango sounds like a great product. The Urus, by comparison, is slower and less impressive, especially when you compare sounds to the current existing Trackhawk, which will most likely carry over a similar exhaust profile over to the Durango, which I always felt sounded louder than the current SRT Jeep. So I think the Durango Hellcat's going to have an even better exhaust. Now, hopefully, we can get red-eye versions hurry up to get here to the market for the Trackhawk and eventually the Durango. So this way you could have 797 horsepower and you could literally roll up on all these rich dummies with their Uruses, threaten to race them and have them back down because they know that there's nothing they can do when they look. And then here's my thing about the red-eye. How the hell am I supposed to know it's a red eye if I can't look at the badge and see easily that it's a red eye on the Hellcat emblem? I need it to say red eye. You can get rid of the words Hellcat. Just put red eye on it and put it in red badges. So this way you can pull up on these Uruses and these Bentiagas and all this nonsense, these Rolls-Royce Cullens, and you can threaten other drivers and say, hey, buddy, hey, you know what, $100 if you can beat me to that light, and they'll have to back down in fear because they already know that there's nothing they can do in that short a distance. In fact, you can take it up to a mile and there's nothing you can do in that distance. But the bottom line is we need it, and we need it now. We need it absolutely now. I'm seeing more Uruses on the road. A lot of them. And the thing about it is I don't want these guys being able to roll around and, thumb their nose up and say, yeah, well, I paid $200,000 for that. I want them to be able to look and say, yeah, well, guess what? You paid $200,000, but I'll race you to death out here. As you also may know, we have a new interior coming for the Jeep Grand Cherokee, but it's not coming till 2022 apparently, because apparently Jeep is having so much fun with all of their paid-off products, constantly selling what they have right now in about 30 different variants. They got like the Limited X, the Altitude, the Latitude, they got all this stuff. And the bottom line is we have a new interior coming. I thought we were going to get the 12-inch U-Connect. Maybe we still will. But thus far, it's looking like we're going to get, like more touchscreen this and that. There's no word as to whether or not you're going to get the Elephant engine as an option ever. There's no word as to whether or not we're actually going to get a red-eye Jeep because they never confirmed it. But all they'd have to do is build it and nobody'd be able to compete. German cars like the Urus and the Bentiaga and all that nonsense, those things are limited to twin-turbo V8s. Meanwhile, we have a real chance here, a real chance to just take the whole damn game over, and you could actually have this thing capable of 200 plus miles per hour. Even the Urus can't do that. And you'd have like the fastest possible SUV. Even a Tesla P100D ludicrous dual motor would not be able to race you simply because its battery would overheat and burst into flames. And here we are pussyfooting around with a truck that's about to come out and be marked up by $20,000 or $30,000. Hey, FCA, I know you're going to hear about this. I need you guys to get on the ball. You got to get on the ball. First of all, I own shares in the company. I got 1,000 shares sitting on my TD Ameritrade. And bottom line is, you need to do it if for nothing more than to increase my own share value. Yes, it's selfish, but that's what you need to do. Second of all, you need to do it so that every Mopar fan can drive around with absolute pride that they have something that no other product on the entire market, including electric cars, can possibly hope to touch.